The following program is a production of Pioneer Public Television.
In this episode of Postcards.
I love to repurpose stuff. This is an old ashtray from the 30s that lights at the bottom.
Did you bring your piggy bank or what? Yeah. A quarter for Guns N' Roses.
This house was a central farm and a farm development business. The purpose of the farm here was to figure out how to farm.
This program on Pioneer Public Television is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund, with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4, 2008. Additional support provided by Mark and Margaret Yekel Julien in honor of Shalom Hill Farm, a nonprofit rural education retreat center in a beautiful prairie setting near Windham in southwestern Minnesota. ShalomHillFarm.org. The Arrowwood Resort and Conference Center, your ideal choice for Minnesota resorts offering luxury townhomes, 18 holes of golf, Darling Reflection Spa, Big Splash Water Park, and much more. Alexandria, Minnesota, a relaxing vacation or great location for an event. Explore alex.com. Easy to get to, hard to leave.
This business, probably not the last, but we couldn't think of a good name. And when I bought the sawmill, I thought, I was laying in bed that night thinking how big a mistake this was. And I thought, oh, probably cut a bunch of fingers off. So I woke my wife up and I said, let's call it Three Fingers Sawmill. She gave me heck and told me to go back to sleep. But anyway, so that was the name that I'm glad we chose it because nobody forgets that name and it seems to go with the business. Half of my customers are missing digits. I do a lot of dining room tables. Once in a while, like some of these in here are made for stock, but a lot of the tables I make, the people haul their logs in to me. And so now it's kind of like an heirloom piece because it came off of great-grandfather's property or where they're building their new home or whatever. So we sit down, we go over what types of furniture they might want in their home, and then I saw the logs up and make the right thickness of boards and the right width of boards and that. Then I have a kiln for drying the lumber. So then I kiln dry it all, and then after it's all stabilized, then I have the people come back. I spread out all their boards, and if we're doing, for instance, dining room table, then they get to choose. If the table has 2 to 5 boards in it, they get to pick the boards that go into that table, which gives them a feeling of being a part of it, which they are. And then we go over the legs and how they want to sit at the table. Where the legs go is very important to a table. It isn't like going to a furniture store where you take what they've got. Here, I set them at a chair and we'll move a leg back and forth so they know if they want to sit at the ends or the sides or whereabouts and how many people. And you know, it's completely customized. And then also under the table, I write their names or have them sign it. I put a description of the property the wood came off of and who ordered it. So now it's an heirloom, so when it's passed down for generations, the kids will all know the history of it and who had it built. And it'll stay in the family, which I think is important. This table is built by Tyler Butcher, the guy who does all my finishing. It's made out of 2 separate elm boards. That's all there is 2 boards in here. And this was a spalted American elm. which nobody in their right mind will work with because the wood does not like to be worked with. It likes to bow and crack, and so he's put a tremendous amount of work into this. The lines are just perfect and they're book maps, so the grains run together. And then he kind of made up his own legs, and he made them with wood. This is oak wood right here, and this is the same elm that is in the top, but we wanted it to look kind of like I-beams, and then he put some metal in with it. It's probably the most unique table I've ever seen. It was the hit of the Lake Home and Cabin show, without question. Over here, I love to repurpose stuff. This is an old ashtray from the 30s that lights at the bottom. And then I found a piece of box elder that has pink in it, so that complements the bottom of that, of the lighted table. You can buy furniture any place and it doesn't mean anything. If you get tired of it, you get rid of it. If you have it custom made out of your own wood, now that's a part of the family. You can say, oh, you know, great-grandfather used to shoe horses underneath this tree. And that is a problem, because when they did shoe horses by the trees, they would often hang the old horseshoe on a little branch. Well, that branch turned into a great big limb, which turned into the trunk of the tree. So when I saw the tree, there's a horseshoe in it. Or could be wrenches. I find wire all the time. There's wire in it. Hurley's found cannonballs in the stumps of trees. I know a few sawyers that have found guns inside of trees. So there's history to no end on. And I find lots of bullets in the trees. And that's kind of cool too, because kid can say, well, this is where Dad was teaching me how to shoot. So those bullets are from when Dad and I first were out shooting. So history is important. People always say it's an art. I don't know. I feel kind of weird when they say it's an art. I'm just a dusty old curmudgeon that builds stuff. I don't know. I see it when I'm cutting it, and I don't know if that's artistic or not, but I just see things that I think would look good together, and that's what I do. They can call it what they want.
With just a small town girl, everybody. She'll take the midnight train going. With just a city boy, everybody. Born and raised in South Detroit. She'll take the midnight train going. Guitar solo. The Patriots deflated your guitar.
The Dueling Duo is an all-request Las Vegas dueling piano style show. What makes us a little different is there's three of us. I know, 3 people in a duo. Doesn't make sense, but it works for us. We do all requests all night, everything from Buddy Holly to AC/DC, Katy Perry to the Tennessee Waltz. If we know it, we'll give it a shot. And there's comedy involved. We're not afraid to fall on our face sometimes, and it's all about making people laugh, having a good time.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tan Wick.
The show is amazing. Andy Gibson is just an incredible singer. Rhino, his name's Ryan Merriam, he is a machine. He can think of anything, which translates into somebody requests a song, and Andy and I will sit there with our eyes wide open going, where did you get that? So that's where I just describe this act as quite amazing. I'm really proud to be involved with it.
Loves going to Nebraska, okay?
Boy loves coming to Minnesota too.
That's all we get is a yay. We love coming to Minnesota.
I'm happy to be here tonight.
Seriously, you guys are willing to rock. Make some noise for yourselves if you would, please.
We don't plan our shows. Nothing's planned. Everything is off the cuff. We try to just do whatever the audience wants us to do. So, like last night, they were making us sing like Elmer Fudd to AC/DC or something, so you never know. I mean, we're pretty, we don't know what's going to go on tonight.
Did you bring your piggy bank or what? Yeah. A quarter for Guns N' Roses.
Our mission is just to make sure everyone has a good time every night. We kind of got started probably about 6 years ago, and it started out with I had some original songs and I wanted to play them, and I brought Rhino along and found out that this guy can play whatever song you ask him to play. So I'm like, we probably should drop the guitars and maybe use keyboards instead. And I built this keyboard case right here from a table in my house, and it's lasted 6 years, and that's kind of how we got started.
Well, these two friends of mine were doing this dueling duo thing, and I was sitting around and just had retired from teaching, and they decided to start taking me along. So that's how I got going, and usually when you think of a duo, you think of two people, and just bringing me along was sort of a novelty, and plus I play a little bit of everything, so I added just spice up their act a little bit.
It's kind of like my second family, you know. I'm married, I have 4 children, and I love my wife and my kids, and they are everything. But I spend a large chunk of time with these two guys. We're on the road, and you know, they understand. They know how it is for me when I call and I find out one of the kids has had a bad day. My wife has had a rough day at work. You know, if my in-laws or my parents are sick or something's happened to a family member, you know, they're an excellent support system. So it's more than just what you see on stage. It's really 3 guys who, you know, and they're probably laughing as I say this, but enjoy each other's company and share a lot.
I think the word is ownership. Somebody will request a song, and then we start playing it, and the crowd's getting into it and clapping, and then you see that guy back there going, I thought of that song, this was my idea. So that kind of thing, ownership.
We've got so many different things that we do. Andrew's a great singer. I do a lot of goofy stuff, a lot of goofy voices and things. I'm constantly telling jokes. Some of them are good, some of them are not. And then Dan plays saxophone, Dan plays trumpet. Dan's a great violin player. So it's not just going and seeing 2 guys play Beethoven on the piano. It's worlds away from that. It's controlled insanity. You never know what you're going to get. You can come see us one night, come see us 6 months later, and it's a completely different show. That's to me is the best part.
Well, I feel like the Dueling Duo is just getting started. You know, we've been around for 6 years, but I don't see us going anywhere. This is what we do, and this is what we love to do. I like to play music, and doing this, I don't even really care what song I play as long as people like it. It's not, I know this isn't about me, and so I don't care if I'm singing Taylor Swift or Katy Perry or Keith Urban or AC/DC. It's all about the audience, so hopefully people will see that.
I am unbelievably fortunate to get to do this for a living. I'm unbelievably fortunate that these 2 guys put up with me, because I'm easily the most demanding of the 3. Part of that comes from being a parent and wanting things set up a certain way, and part of that's just my general nature, but I feel really blessed that I get to do this for work, because all I ever wanted to do was play music for a living, and now I get to do it, and I get to take care of my family, and I got the best job in the world. I'm unbelievably blessed.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, If you have hated us so far, you're really going to hate us after this.
It's all about that.
He is once again a two-time member of the Nebraska Music Hall of Fame. And he shares a birthday with his classmate George Washington. When my son asked me what happened to the dinosaurs and when they got extinct 65 million years ago, I said, I don't know, ask Dan, he was there. He sat behind Jesus in the 3rd grade. Make some noise for my buddy, Mr. Dan Wynn! Down in Georgia, he was looking for a soul to steal. He was in a God, he was way behind, he was willing to make a deal. When he came across that young man sawing and fiddling and playing it hot, the devil jumped up on a hickory son and said, boy, I'll tell you what, if you didn't know it, but I'm a fiddle player too. If you care to take a dare, I'll make a bet with you. Now you play a pretty good fiddle, boy, but give the devil his due. Now you put that hat on you and you got sweat all over you. Boy said, my name's Johnny and it might be a sin. I'll take your bet, your Conor Gregg, some of the best was that big. Johnny rises up, you go and play the fiddle hard. Sells roses in Georgia and the devil gives us calls. If you win, you get that shot at fiddle and gold. If you lose, the devil gets your soul. Devil opened up his case and he said, I'll start the show. And right with his fingertips, he roused up his bow. And he pulled that bow across the strings and it made an evil hiss. And if anyone plays some Cisco, they're going to get pissed.
The twist is scared of it, you know what it is, you know what it is, you know the odds and things it is. It'll be the low club, got to look like a joke, got like all night long. Look out, let me see that glow.
You're pretty good, old son. But park your butt in that chair right there. Let me show you how it's done. Find my bosom. Tells my house about its own. She done read everything I know. Don't fall down to the end of the show.
Welcome to the Spicer Castle Inn. My name is Mary, and the home was built by my great-grandfather, John Spicer, in 1895. And currently, my father, Alan, and I operate the property as an inn and restaurant. There are 17 guest rooms, 7 of which are inside the inn, and then we do have private cabins and cottages on the property. There's also a restaurant open for dinner and during the summer months, lunch and dinner. We have a reception area downstairs where we serve happy hour, dining rooms overlooking the lake, During the summer season, there's a beautiful outdoor patio where you can sit next to the fire ring and overlook the lake. You're also welcome to bring boats and go fishing. There's a small private beach area as well.
John Spicer met Frances Deming, who he later married, and then they moved to Willmar, Minnesota in 1870. Farming in this area became more a viable business, and it's at that point in time that the Spicers got involved in developing farming. This house was a central farm and a farm development business. The purpose of the farm here was to figure out how to farm. After World War I, when the European farmers began to produce food again, the farm market crashed. Farm prices went way down, and the Spicers stopped developing farmland at that point, and then this place became used as a summer house until the 1988 time when it was turned into an inn.
Well, let's take a tour of the upstairs of the Spicer Castle. There's 7 guest rooms, and each one is named after one of the Spicer family members. This one is Amy's room. This room has an outdoor balcony that you can sit out and overlook the lake. This room is called Ruth's room, and Ruth was known as Bunny, and you'll see a picture out here that's a pretty famous rabbit painting. This is Eunice's room, and before the inn was open to the public, there used to be swinging hammocks on the porch downstairs. And we thought it'd be fun to incorporate that idea, and we put a swinging bed into this room. Welcome to Frances's room. This used to be the master bedroom of the home and has a nice king-size bed, and there is a picture on the wall of Frances, which I'm always amazed at her very long, thick braid.
Frances Spicer was an artist and quite capable in the early Impressionist period. And she had 3 daughters who were artists, all of which became known in various aspects of the Impressionist period. Much of their artwork is around here. And some of them are exhibited in galleries in California and in Minneapolis, and some in government buildings in various places, so their art was well recognized. As far as another aspect to art, almost all Spicer children were required to be able to do something in music. Not that they always wanted to, but that was part of the growing up in the family, so music was an important part. They also had a Edison phone record player, which was used, and it was a popular feature, and we have quite a number of older records for that. The place was known originally as Mededo Cottage on Mededo Farm on Mededo Lake. Mededo means green, therefore Mededo Lake was Green Lake. The fishermen that came to fish on the lake used different objects to locate themselves, and one of their principal landmarks was this building. And they elected not to call it Mededo Cottage, but they called it Spicer's Castle. And that's the name that stuck. When we were kids, we were not allowed to use the word castle anytime, any place. We bent with what the public decided. And so we became known as Spicer Castle, because if we had used Mededo Cottage, nobody have known what we were talking about. People from this area, they all know it as the Spicer Castle. Some years back there was some discussion about the utilization of this property. And one of the prominent Willmar businessmen accosted me as I was going out of Cafe and Spicer having some coffee, and he said, "Alan, if that castle goes away, you ought to get the hell out of here." In other words, it was a part of the community. It's always been viewed by people as part of the community.
This program on Pioneer Public Television is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund, with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4th, 2008. Additional support provided by Mark and Margaret Yako-Julien in honor of Shalom Hill Farm, a nonprofit rural education retreat center in a beautiful prairie setting near Windham in southwestern Minnesota. ShalomHillFarm.org. The Arrowwood Resort and Conference Center, your ideal choice for Minnesota resorts offering luxury townhomes, 18 holes of golf, Darling Reflection Spa, Big Splash Water Park, and much more. Alexandria, Minnesota, a relaxing vacation or great location for an event. Explore alex.com. Easy to get to, hard to leave.